I shall call Ian Blackford to make an application for leave to propose a debate on a specific and important matter that should have urgent consideration under the terms of Standing Order number 24. The Right Honourable Member has up to 3 minutes in which to make his application.
Point of order?
Well, I think the point of order would come after. I have actually, forgive me, I don't wish to be unkind to the honourable gentleman, but I'm 2/3 of the way across the road. It is arguably hazardous. So, I'm saving him up. I think it can wait. Yeah. And the Right Honourable Gentleman has up to 3 minutes in which to make such an application. Mr. Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and if we can help you across the rest of the road, then we'd be happy to do so. I seek leave to propose that the House should debate a specific and important matter that should have urgent consideration, namely the validity of the Sewell Convention. This week, during the proceedings on the EU Withdrawal Bill, Scotland's voice was silenced. This government pressed ahead with its power grab to keep Scotland's powers in London, not in Scotland. This government pressed ahead in direct opposition to Scotland's elected Parliament. This government downgraded devolution and defied the will of the Scottish people. Mr. Speaker, that is an absolute democratic outrage. The UK Government have agreed to amendments that severely curtail the authority of the Scottish Parliament in several vital devolved areas. However, legislative consent from the Scottish Parliament was required and accepted by the Government to be required for the bill to proceed. Mr. Speaker, that consent has not been forthcoming. The Scottish Parliament voted by 93 votes to 30 not to consent to the withdrawal bill. The Sewell Convention established the long-held practice that the UK Government cannot legislate in devolved areas without the consent of the devolved Parliament. The First Minister of Scotland, the Scottish Government and the Scottish Parliament has made clear that the lack of consent motion would have been fatal to passage of any changes in the devolution settlement. Legislative consent motions are one of the hallmarks of devolution. By proceeding, the UK Government has blatantly ignored a central pillar of the relationship between the governments and the parliaments of these islands. This unprecedented move that at the very nature of the devolution could be changed forever. What does the failure to grant legislative consent mean if Westminster is prepared to ignore the sovereign will of the Scottish Parliament and the Scottish people? Mr. Speaker, due to no fault of yours, the time restrictions placed on the bill virtually eliminated the amendments on the devolution bill from debate. It is imperative that we have an emergency debate as soon as possible to examine the seriousness of this matter. Mr. Speaker, we are in uncharted territory. The people of Scotland must know when this government acts to recognise and respect of their elected Parliament. While yesterday we were unable to get a vote for the House to sit in private, and Mr. Speaker, I want to make it clear that the SNP's issue is with the UK Government and not with yourself. I trust that you will give this most urgent matter your consideration.
The Right Honourable Member asks leave to propose a debate on a specific and important matter that should have urgent consideration, namely the validity of the Sewell Convention. I have listened carefully to the Right Honourable Gentleman making his application, and I am satisfied that the matter is proper to be discussed under Standing Order number 24. Has the Right Honourable Gentleman the leave of the House? Aye. Thank you. The Right Honourable Gentleman has obtained the leave of the House. The debate will be held on Monday, the 18th of June, as the first item of public business. The debate will last for up to 3 hours, and it will arise on a motion that the House has considered the specified matter set out in the Right Honourable Member's application. Thank you, colleagues. I'll take the point of order now that I've successfully crossed the road. And point of order, Mr. Ian Murray.
Mr. Speaker, I'm delighted you managed to get to the other side. With regards to the Section 24 application that we've just heard, I wonder if I could seek your guidance in the interests of the House to perhaps look at the application and see if there is any standing order available to members to put maybe joint names on the standing order in case the honourable gentleman is indisposed come Monday. This is the second standing order application we've had from the honourable gentleman in 2 days, and if the urgency of this SO24 debate is indeed in fact urgent, perhaps we should have been having it less urgently than Monday.
Well, I note that the point that the honourable gentleman has made, my understanding, and I will interpret him literally and strictly, is that an application is made in the name of a particular member and it cannot be appropriated by another member. In that sense, it is, and this is a serious point, in that sense it is in a different category, colleagues, to, for example, an amendment to legislation or a new clause which might commonly have a number of lead signatories. In the absence of one, it can be adopted by or spoken to and moved by another. That is not the case in relation to a Standing Order number 20.